Here is how I change my guitar's acoustic steel strings. First, I cover the dining room table with a towel and use a second towel to support the guitar's neck. This keeps the head and tuners more stable. I'll use some guitar polish, a string winder, new strings, a polishing cloth, and some wire cutters. Usually I put the guitar's head over a soft chair, which makes for easier access to the tuners, but for this demonstration, I'll use the table. You need to unwind and take off the old strings. I will usually go from side to side, loosening about 6 winds per tuner until I've got them all loose. I feel this reduces the stress on the guitar's head, but I don't really know. As you can see, this video is sped up quite a bit, but please take your time and be careful. The ends of these steel strings can poke you and can draw blood. Believe me, you will absolutely know when this happens. So be cautious. Don't get poked. Next, pull out the bridge pins. These keep the string ball ends in place. Now, pull out all the strings. I will usually wrap up the strings together before I throw them out so they don't just go willy-nilly all over the garbage can. You can also make a super cool ring out of the strings and give them to your friends. I made one for my girlfriend about 43 years ago, and we're still married today. There may be other ways to recycle steel strings. I don't know. Maybe you'll think of something. Next, it's time to clean and polish that wonderful acoustic guitar. Get all that sweat and grime and dust and crud off it and make it look special again. It will play so much better, I assure you. You'll even play better because a clean guitar is a happy guitar, and a happy guitar makes for happy guitar players. So get all the nooks and crannies wiped off, including the neck. I usually don't spray polish on the fretboard. I just use what's on my rag for that. Okay, now, let's put on these brand new guitar strings. You will see a cutout in the bridge pins. This is for the string to fit into and faces towards the head of the guitar, in the direction that the string goes. I start with the low E string. Put the ball end into the bridge hole and push the bridge pin in firmly. Next, feed the string end through the tuning peg and pull it out, leaving just enough to wind the remainder of the string down to the bottom of the tuning peg. If you start from where the wound part of the string starts, you'll have a huge bunch up. You can always undo things and try again with more or less string. I always start my string winds toward the middle of the head and not towards the outside of the head. Also, the first wind is above the inserted string end on the peg, and the remaining winds continue under the inserted end. This method helps to lock the strings at the peg hole and helps keep the string in tune by not letting it loosen up as you play. Now, you may wish to just roll up the unused part of the string and make a cool little circular thingamajiggy out of it, but as for me, I clip the remainder of the wire off with a wire cutter, like this. Next, I do the high E string by putting in the ball end and pushing down the bridge pin firmly. I work outside strings to middle strings to keep the tension on the head more even. I wind the entire high E string on the tuning peg. The string is thin and the peg will accommodate it. After inserting the string, I make the first wind up over the insert, and then the remainder of the string winds down under the insert. This will help lock the string and keep it from slipping out of tune. Remember to make the string wind towards the inside of the head and not the outside. There's a lot of string to wind here. Keep the string taut as it winds nice and tidy down the peg. Don't let it get all sloppy. Also, I don't stretch out the string. I don't think that's a good idea. Strings will stretch naturally and settle in as you play and tune it once the new strings are mounted. If you leave enough string end for a nice curly circle, then go for it. As for me, I clip off the end and make it even more pokey. Okay, now for the A string. Ball end into the bridge, firmly push down the pin with the cutout towards the string. Just like the low E, the A string is heavier, so bring enough through the tuning peg so that the wind ends at the bottom of the peg and doesn't get all bunched up. Wind above the insert 1 turn, then the remainder below the insert. Wind the string towards the middle of the head while keeping the string taut with your free hand. Don't stretch out the string and keep it winding neatly. Loop the end or clip that sucker. Okay, 3 strings to go. Put the B-string ball end into the bridge and firmly push down the pin with the cutout facing the string. This is the string that pokes me the most, so be careful. Put the end through the tuning peg. Wrap it towards the middle of the head and above the insert 1 turn. Then the remainder of the string wraps below the insert to lock that string into place and help it stay in tune. Keep tension on the string with your free hand and avoid stretching out the string. There is a lot to wind up here, so keep wrapping it nice and neatly, and when you're done, either curl the end into a fancy-dancy little loop-de-loop or clip that doggy down. Next, I do the D string. Ball end into the bridge and the peg firmly pressed in. Same routine here as the other strings. End into the hole in the tuning peg. 1 wrap goes above the insert and the rest wraps under the insert with the string direction towards the middle of the head and not towards the outside of the head. Keep the tension on the string without stretching and neatly wind the string down the peg. Make an end loop or cut the remainder off, whichever floats your boat. And finally, it's the G string. Ball end goes in, pegged with the cutout facing the string, firmly pushing it down. Put the string end through the tuning peg and bring it out to the wound part of the string. First wrap is above the insert and the rest of the string wraps under the insert, towards the center of the head. Keep tension on the string with your free hand, making the wind nice and tidy as it goes down the tuning peg. Curl up the end or cut it off. Now, to finish up and get the guitar to stay in tune with the new strings, the process is simple. Tune your guitar, play your guitar, tune it again, play it again, and repeat those steps until the guitar stays in tune and the strings are finally settled in. Thanks for watching. Now go put those brand new strings on your acoustic guitar. Oh, and don't get poked.